Good evening. Good evening. Here we are. See, I'm trying to get in the right spot. Be balanced, right? I gotta go this way. There we go. Uh, Welcome to Baker's Green Acres. You get me tonight first for Wellness Wednesday, and then Mark will be joining. Um, I just realized the reason it doesn't look so colorful is I have the blue on my shirt and then the blue on the thing. So, anyway, there we go. It is a cold, yucky, gross night out tonight. It is like my definition of the worst weather possible, which is just above freezing and raining. It's gross. Hey there, Keith and Andy. Um, also with the gross weather, I'll just give you a heads up. I have no idea what our internet's going to do tonight. It was so bad. We are not streaming on night because I couldn't get it to set up. So it's that great. We have really bad issues tonight. Just know we may be off early, but we're going to stick it out to the bitter end and hopefully it'll do like it did last night and clear up. So we're all internet. It's a lovely thing. Um, so, Wellness Wednesday. Hey, Justin. We've been doing beef, a lot of beef, and I am teaching kitchen medicine right now. How to use your kitchen as medicine, not just we're eating good food, but to be intentionally medicinal about it and to understand how the everyday tools, the things that you have in your kitchen cupboard that you don't even know, or on your kitchen wall, that you don't even know that they can be used medicinally because it's lost knowledge. It's stuff that we just don't know anymore. Hey, Brittany, um, if you go back in time, our great grandparents knew it. Benjamin Franklin wrote down a whole bunch of rules about good living, and we have a copy of his daily routine, and it ends up with the habits of Ayurveda that I teach, and just plain good living. They knew how to live well, even if they didn't have all the medicines. Their lifestyle made up for a lot of the deficiencies, and that's a lot of what it boils down to. So, in this class, we're learning all sorts of what's in the kitchen, lifestyle things, food things, spice things. We just talked about invigorating food, lackluster food, and depleting food. What to eat, because that's what everybody wants to know. And meanwhile, we're cutting up beef. And I've been dabbling around with organs, and I did some research. I just had some interesting stuff come up this week that you need to know about because you have animals that you're raising where you have access to them. And that gives you a couple really wonderful things that you need to know about. Along with this wonderful, awful gray weather lately, everyone's just, I don't know about you guys. I mean, just raise your hand in the chat, right? Who else is feeling the winter blahs really bad this year? We've had more sickness in the house this year, like colds, than we have in years. And everyone could sleep, get up, and go back to bed. As I was reading, came across a blog written by Dr. John Douillard, one of my favorite Ayurvedic people. And he was talking about this wonderful little amino acid called tryptophan. Maybe you've heard of that before. Tryptophan is an amino acid that is what your body needs. It's an essential build for serotonin. Serotonin, you may be familiar with, is one of the hormones or the chemicals that your brain uses to improve your mood and up your metabolism, all those things. Your body naturally does a lot of that in the spring, summer, and fall when there's a lot of sun because sunshine stimulates serotonin. So in the gray of winter, serotonin is naturally depressed. So it is. Naturally, hibernation is a thing. If you feel like you're hibernating, you're right where nature has put you. And nature's provided hacks, ways, things that are there to help us boost serotonin using tryptophan. You may take cod liver oil or vitamin D, that will help. But tryptophan is found naturally occurring in fatty protein sources. So, if you're into vegetables, it's in your chickpeas, soybeans, the fatty seeds, not fruits, excuse me, the fatty seeds, that's where it can be found. Even better is fatty dark meats. So, the dark meat, like your Freedom Rangers, or back in the day, they would have eaten Buff Orpingtons and Barred Rocks. That's what they had. Super mineralized, dark, fatty meat. Beef, right, is right at the top of the list. Fatty beef, pasture raised pork, and then salmon. I don't know about trout, never made the list. We've got some really super fatty lake trout in our freezer, and it's a really nice meat. It feels really good. What happens is the tryptophan amino acid is in that, it's part of the nutrients that are in that red meat. The fat that's in that meat acts as a carrier. Why are fat people happy all the time? They aren't happy all the time, not really. But, you know, they just, like, as a generalization, which is totally unfair, but still, more easygoing, laid back. Whew. Because that's one of the things that fat does for you. It helps calm your nervous system, and it helps carry the tryptophan amino acid to where the serotonin gets made, and then it combines with other proteins and helps carry all of these things into your nervous system. Your brain is 80% fat. It uses fat, treats like. Fat helps fat. So all of this fatty tissue and all of the neuron casings, all of the insulation for your nerves, so to speak, because your nerves are really like electric wires. Justin, totally up your alley. Your entire nervous system is just an electrical system with coating on the wires to protect the nerves, just like electric wires have a coating on them to make sure that the electricity goes where it's supposed to and not all haywire. And then your brain, as this massive processing center and this massive relay station, uses a lot of fat. Fat not only carries all of these amino acids, carries your fat soluble vitamins A, D, E. It also helps cleanse your brain. So cleaning out all the toxins. It's really cool and exciting. All of that's in red meat. So it's a lot of science just to say, eat your darn steaks and enjoy them. Don't trim all that fat off. Eat as much as you can. Don't buy lean ground beef. Buy the fatty ground beef. Eat the meat juices. There's a lot of the building blocks for your body in all of that. And during the dark winter months, that's where your body is getting those sunshine vitamins. Yeah, Justin, you totally need that fat to ground you and warm you and help your body detox. Fat lubricates your whole detoxification system. So you need good, healthy fats from pasture-raised animals that have been in the sunshine. They have the capacity to store vitamin D in their fat. We don't possess that as human beings, but your cows do. So when you eat your cow fat, when you eat your pig fat, you're getting vitamin D from them. The other, so the meat's great. Have your steak, have your fatty burger. The other place that stuff is stored in triplicate, quadruplicate, 10 times, is the organs. Organs are amazing. Super high in zinc, right? We've heard all about zinc for the virus, which, by the way, we just had a cold and Rachel can't taste or smell anything right now because her sinuses are all blocked up. Who knew, right? This always used to happen. Zinc helps boost your immune system. There's been a lot of chatter about that. All of your organs are super high in zinc, magnesium, phosphorus. Iron is another component that your body uses to make serotonin. So you need all the super duty iron in all of those organs. They're hard to eat. If you've been to one of our hog harvest classes, you've experienced organs because that's what we do. We enjoy the organs. Um, if you come to charcuterie, you'll get to enjoy them on a new level because our daughter-in-law Faye has been playing with organs a lot, and I'm going to be playing with pates with all the beef organs and making some more sausage out of them. So you get to try them there and just try some different ways to work organs into your diet because you absolutely need them. Yeah, this is the time, exactly, Jonathan, for low carb, meat centered diet. And frankly, Jonathan also points out it saves money. We produce our meat, but even if we were buying our meat for supper tonight, we made 1.5 pounds of burger. Maybe Rachel made 2 pounds. 2 pounds of burger is $14. We had mustard, sauerkraut, and kimchi with it. $20. Less than that, really. And that meal carries for a long time because we're eating in rhythm with nature, which, if you really pay attention, I would bet that you find that you're satisfied with 1 or 2 meals a day, 2, and a light one, maybe. You don't have to eat that much. Yeah. And there's a lot of ways to hack the organs in. So, yeah, you don't need to eat as much when you're eating the low carb carnivore diet, especially through the winter, when your body just really wants intense nutrition less often. And then it's good. It's how it's just designed to be. So it's a lower input of energy through the summer. You don't have to grow that big, huge, massive garden and spend hours and days canning everything because you don't need that much of it through the winter. You got your meat and your ferments, maybe a little vegetable. You're good. You don't have to buy as much stuff from the store. All the flour. Our flour usage is like 1/10 what it used to be. We have to buy flour all the time. Money saved. You can, yeah, Jonathan says a small plate cleanse. The fat is satiating, it's calming, helps your body detox, which is an issue through the winter, keeping that daily detox going. And that's what that fat does. So it's kind of a superfood in the winter, plus helping to boost your mood through all of the amino acids and the vitamin and mineral profile of red meat and grown fats. There are ways to sneak organs in. If you have a butcher do your animals, you can have them, just tell them to grind it all through with the ground. Put it in the sausage, put it in your ground meat. That way you get little bits of it constantly. And honestly, nobody will be the wiser. Get them to grind in everything they'll give you. Heart, liver, kidneys, spleen. If you can get the pancreas from the cow, do that. If you can get the brains, I know everyone's got a thing about brains. Brains are super high in vitamin B12 and omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3 fatty acids help your liver function and stay in good shape because your liver is really considered a fatty organ. And like treats like. B is energy. Omega-3s help feed your brain. It's all good stuff. So a couple hacks. Look up recipes for pate, or we make mazza sausage if you have the charcuterie book. It's a little bit of liver and a whole lot of meat, and tastes amazing. Add some spices. Mazza has wine. So with all of those different flavors, you can pass it off to the kids. And if you don't say anything, they probably won't even notice. Mine haven't, and mine know that I sneak things in so they keep their eyes open. This week, I sliced heart into steaks and some liver into steaks, and I put a dry rub on them that was equal parts sugar and salt, and then spices. I used smoked paprika. I didn't have the garlic. Um, some savory. That might have been it. But, you can throw whatever spices you want in. Let it sit for half an hour, and then I fried it in bacon fat. One of the keys with liver is if you soak it like you would fish in milk, salt water, lemon water. Okay. For a bit, it'll help pull some of that iron taste out. So I've done that. And then when you cook it really gently. So I fried the heart first, took that out, put the liver in, let it kind of fry on one side, just kind of sear it, flipped it over, shut the pan off, and put the lid on it. That was it. It was like 5 to 10 minutes later, we ate, and it was perfect. One of the boys accidentally took it because it was on the plate with the heart, and I called it all beef steaks. It was, right? Steaks and beef. And he said, wow, that was actually edible. That wasn't all bad. So there's ways to sneak it in. I tried sneaking it into stew, and I got called out on that one. That didn't work so well. Partly because the liver overcooked process of being in the stew. And I even thought, it's got that texture that gets chalky, and it's not so great. I'd be really interested to see, because I'm collecting ideas. If you throw them in the chat, your favorite ways to eat organ meats. We do the heart, the liver, the spleen is in a cow. It's massive. And the pig, it's a little smaller. I usually just grind it through. Nobody knows. But if you scrape it out of the skin, it is absolutely delicious. And you can cook it real gentle with spices and stuff, spread it on crackers. It makes kind of a paste, and it's really good. Beef kidneys are really large. Brittany, see, you need to come to a class, and we'll do this. We'll cook. Because that's one of the fun things about one of our hog harvest classes, the charcuterie class coming up, for which we have one seat left. So if you think that's a thing that you want to do, better jump quick, because there's only one left. We're doing pastured poultry. By the end of the week, I'm having that up on the website. I think it's on the Baker's Green Acres website, bakersgreenacres.com. The Anyone Can Farm experience, it will be up there shortly. We'll be doing some cooking. So we'll show you how to use that. Amy was telling me that. Put it through the blender, freeze it in small cups, ice cream cubes, and then just throw it just a little bit in with things. It's the same effect actually as grinding it through with your meat and then freezing it. So it's just a little bits with seasonings, and people don't even notice. That's another good one. Chop it up, dice it, freeze it. I have one friend that does 1-inch cubes, and then just swallow it frozen like a pill. Gets the liver in. You get all of that great goodness because the liver is absolutely fantastic. All of those micronutrients, it's the multivitamin that's in an animal. And you really only need about a multivitamin amount. You need very small amounts to get the benefits, but it's there. So seasonal affective disorder. If you're feeling the brain fog of winter, the winter blahs, tryptophan in your steaks, your red meats, enjoy the heck out of it. Eat your fat, especially at noon times. Go light in the evenings so you don't slug your digestion down. And if you can, except with organs, liver sausage, Braunschweiger. We do mazzospaghetti. I've tried liverwurst, but it's too much liver. The family doesn't like it. So there's a lot of, the Germans, they got sausage down to a science. So a lot of them They're worth trying. Give it an experiment and try it. So it's Wellness Wednesday for today. Get some sunshine yourself, but then get the sunshine that your animals are storing up for you. It's good stuff. Mark's coming in. If you got your questions for Mark, please put them in caps in the chat so that one or both of us see them, and then be sure to answer them. Because you guys are so awesome and cool in chat. Sometimes it's easy to miss stuff. And cured sausage recipe for organs. You know what? Hey, look, it'll let me put it in the chat. I just discovered a new. Whoops. My computer went crazy. That now. Mazza Spaghetti is the sausage. Oh, was on 2 Minute Tuesday. I'll have to look it up, Jonathan, and find out what he was talking about. Do you remember, Mark?
What?
Jonathan said you were talking about a cured sausage recipe.
Yeah, Joe put up a video of you talking about dry cured sausages and no need for electricity, and Jonathan wanted to know what the recipe was.
Oh, the dry cured sausages. Oh, we had
I think you should tell him that's classified information. If he wants it, he's got to take the class.
No kidding, because we used a lot of different recipes for the sausages that are, for these that are hanging here. And I did dry cure some liver and heart, and I'd have to look it up. But if you come to the class, you get it, and we'll give it to you, and you can try it and see if you like it, because it was actually really good. You can dry cure and hang heart and liver, probably some other organs. So yeah, classified information, class stuff only, the good stuff. So turn it over to Mark. Ask him a lot of questions tonight.
He's special, but just because he's Army, that doesn't mean anything.
You tell him.
Probably didn't hear that.
Probably not.
Here's a video that you should watch. Right here. Puppy video. All right. I just came in a short time ago because I'm such a hard-working guy. Good artwork right there, isn't that? Isn't that really good? She did a nice job on that. Tribe Day, July 9th. I got some news today that was kind of interesting, I thought. Kind of encouraging. I wonder if the clerics are on here, but I actually saw it on my feed, and it was that the clerics have pulled the trigger on next November doing a Homestead hog harvest at their place. They're going to host it, right? And I thought that was pretty neat. I mean, I'm just looking through my feed, and there it was. Hey, we're doing a Homestead hog harvest. That was pretty neat. So they're already collecting deposits, and yeah, it's pretty good. Like, we're doing things a little bit now than we always have. Pencil people, and, it's still pretty early. To a point where to pencil you in on the calendar, we're going to have a deposit, and a pretty good one, like half. Or Jill worked it. I don't know exactly what she wanted. You got to be dedicated to do this, and it's like anything that you do. You say, hey, I want to buy a puppy, and you put down a deposit on it, and then you decide, no, I don't want the puppy. Well, then you lose your deposit. That's just the way it is. So dedication is a good thing. Can I have my phone back? All right, so here we are, Wednesday night. Apparently, we have a good feed here. It's okay? People can hear us all right?
Yeah, it seems to be.
All right, well, that's good, because last night was a real pain, and I thought I had a really good thing to communicate to y'all, and you guys couldn't hear me, or you're hearing every fifth word. I must admit, tried to listen to it myself, and I would have turned it off. I can't do that. Every fourth word I can't hear. So I'm sorry about that, but it's not really anything that I have immediate control over. But I believe that I need to call the company and say, hey, fix this. We're paying for this. And if they can't fix it, then we need to get somebody else, because this is really ridiculous. I mean, a lot of people, and they don't have problems like we do with our feed, right? So I know rural internet is the battle cry, but I'm not okay with that. It's not that rural here. We have electricity here. All right, so Wednesday's Q&A, so we kind of dedicate this to question and answer, not theory and stuff like that. And so if you have questions and you put them in all caps, then I'll know it's a question. I did notice, I listened to one of my videos today. I listened to one, and then there was one behind it, and I would have had to pull it out of my pocket to shut it off. So I just listened to it for a little while, and I noticed I speak really slow. So I don't know if you guys or not, but I'm going to be a little bit more Ben Shapiro, I think. Try to speak a little faster, if I can. Okay. Let's see if we got some questions here. Cured sausage recipe. All right. Well, Jill handled that. Oh, 2-Minute Tuesday. All right. Yeah. 2-Minute Tuesday is Joe's idea, where we present, we're taking our cue from these guys. Like, they present us with a problem. So we present you with the problem, and it's something that anybody goes up against if you're a homesteader, and then say, here's a solution. It might not be the only solution, but hey, it worked for me. So we present it, and you might take a shade of it, or a shade, shade more, shade less of it. You know what I'm saying? You can kind of tweak the solution that I'm giving you, and make your own solution. That's really what this is all about. Homesteading is a nation of processes. It isn't one process, and very rarely is anything. What you doing?
Sorry.
Was it not working good?
Nope, it was working beautiful.
Okay. Very rarely is anything, when you think about it, is anything a single thing. Like, you think of a car. It's a car. The car isn't working. No, the alternator isn't working, right? Well, it's a car. Well, it won't start. The key's broken off. There's nothing wrong with the car. It's the key's broken off, right? So everything is like that. Homesteading is just a compilation of processes, right? I see Bryce is here, so I'll pick on him a little bit. Growing green beans isn't just putting a bean seed in the ground. It isn't. It's, you've got to be able to operate tillage equipment. All right. So you have to prepare the soil. Right. For instance, I don't know that much about it, but you have to prepare the soil. You have to plant the bean. Well, what's involved with that? I mean, do you plant it a foot down, or, a quarter inch down, or what is it? I mean, you got to know. That's part of the process. How far apart? A foot apart, or an inch apart? I don't know, but we better check with somebody that knows, right? It's a compilation of things. And any one of those that you can, I'm not saying it will, but it could affect the outcome. I mean, it's definitely going to affect the outcome, but it could make it so there's no outcome, right? I'm sure, correct me if I'm wrong here, Bryce, but if we planted green beans at 4 inches, would that seed germinate? I don't know. Maybe you've tried it. Or if we put it at 2 feet, would it? I don't know. So you could do it wrong and really have a bad outcome. And we grow green beans here, and I know I've planted a bunch of them. And then you have to trellis them up certain kinds. And we've built some wild trellises. Some of them work really good. Some of them not so good, Actually, that's a great subject, trellising. I love talking about trellising. All right. So, Jonathan was moving stuff around in the freezer and found a bunch of 2019 venison, thinking about doing some cured sausage with that. Right on. Dave Smith, hi from Arizona. Brittany says, breaking up. You're breaking up with Jonathan? That's terrible. That's terrible. Oh, you're back together with him now. It's good now. Okay. He must have got things in line. I see. Nicole Saltzman, I'm glad you're back. I know that was rough on you last night. Jonathan, I wouldn't recommend making a dry cured sausage from meat that has been in the freezer so long. Well, there's some advice. But if I know Jonathan, he's going to try it anyway, just so he can say, oh, yeah? Well, it worked. Nicole, there's 1 seat left. 1 seat for the charcuterie class. I'm tempting you. 2-day class. You'd have to leave like 6 a.m. to be here at 9, and then you'd have to. Nobody staying at the apartment. You could stay at the apartment. Yeah. Good class. Good class. Oh, somebody seconded. Abundant Living says you wouldn't try to dry cure frozen. Oh, that's right, Jonathan. You don't. That's part of the class that we're divulging here, is when you can dry cured, when you freeze meat, right? Apparently what happens is the individual cells become, the fluid that's in the cell freezes, and then the ice chunk perforates the cell wall. And it can be a good thing. Like when you kill a chicken, it's still warm, it's plucked, but it's still warm and gutted. And then you throw it on the barbecue right then, that's going to be a chicken. It really is. But if you were to freeze it and then let it thaw, it will actually tenderize it, because those cells, are perforated. And then not all of them, but a lot. So that perforated cell is not what you're looking for when you're going to make charcuterie. Go ahead and try it. See what happens. Prove them all wrong, Jonathan. Maybe just smoked then. Okay. Bryce says not likely. Not likely. Not likely. Mama, that version should find its way into a chili. All right. Kielbasa or summer sausage, and then freeze after the smoker. All right. So they're telling you can make sausage of it, just not a dried cured. And I would trust what Jill's saying here, because she's made a lot of it. She made all of this is Jill's doing. I came out here last night and I grabbed a chunk of that midnight snack. I couldn't. Nicole, you can't come that weekend, huh? What is? Cancel it. We'll have other classes. Don't worry. This one filled right up. I would not have predicted that, a March class. But, March classes are probably good classes because it's this month is people up around here. Nicole's close. And then next month can drive people insane. So March is a good month to schedule things that you can look forward to. So for me, when I have a class weekend that I'm giving the class, or I'm going to be, partially instructing the class. Jill's going to partially be instructing it, but I get to be with all these people. I get to have people like coming over my house, and I like that. And a lot of them I know. They've been in other classes, so it's sort of a kind of a reunion in a way, and so I'm really looking forward to it. We had 4 people sign up this morning, paid in full. And so there's a lot of excitement around all of these processes, these homesteading processes. I got a lot to talk about, just so much to talk about. But tonight's your guys' night to ask me questions. So I won't talk about these things unless you ask me what. Very tempting, really, but that weekend doesn't work for you. Oof. Ooh, something's more important than our charcuterie class. What in the hell could be more important, Nicole? Get a grip on yourself. This is time for urgency, a sense of urgency. I'm just pulling your leg. You got to do what you got to do. All right. Are there any questions that are left over? Usually there's like a stack of sphere that I can look at some of the stuff and see anything. Last night I can go over it again, and I don't know as you were with us, Sean. Jonathan, you caught that. Huh? He says he watched that Jordan Peterson clip about the Castro Trudeau thing, and yeah, he did a triple take. He did. He really did. He could not take his eyes off that picture. I would highly recommend looking at that. It was pretty good, wasn't it? More Jordan Peterson today. You can listen to Owen Benjamin. You listen to him, and you will glean wisdom from that man's course of life. You may not buy everything he says. What? I don't buy anything anybody says. There's some stuff, some people, I don't. But hey, some stuff they say, it's like, hey, tell me more about that. I want to know more about that. Because like people, hey, the ghost is with us. Right on, man. Inquisitive people enjoy their points of view. You don't have to agree to it. You don't have to agree with it. And sometimes I don't agree with it when I hear it, but the more I think about it, I think he's got a point. And let me entertain agreeing with that. Well, that would change the outcome of then this statement. And is it better than my understanding of it? In my mind, I'm the final arbiter, right? Like the world according to me. It's all just theory, but then when we get fed and we start doing the thing, is it going to help us or not us? I got to tell you, I was listening to George today. I just don't like him. But I was listening to him, he made a statement about sort of like a self-help thing, you know? And I hit guys up with this last night and the night before. It was talking about tribe building, right? Gathering the tribe. Scrolling.
The audio is being a little.
Being froggy.
Yeah.
So whenever I see it's rolling like that, I can assume that it's not working well. But how is it now?
I got such a lag on mine.
Oh. Well.
Yeah, it's being really froggy.
Crap. Why can't we have a good feed, for goodness sakes? You know, this is unbelievable. 43 minutes. All right. Well, I want to make a good point here. What? Sounding good now? All right. Well, Jordan Peterson made a point today about something, and he was talking about self-help, right? But last night when I made it, I was trying to make the point about gathering the tribe. I wasn't just saying go out and gather experts to you. You may go out there and say, hey, you want to be part of my tribe? And people say, no, I don't want to be part of your tribe. What are you good for? Why would I want to be on your team? Like picking people for volleyball, you know? I'm picking you. You suck at volleyball, right? And so I said, it starts with you. You know, if you're not good at anything, change that. Get good at one thing. And then the next day, another thing and another thing. And it may be, okay, learn how to draw something, learn how to whittle a point on a stick. Yeah, whittle a point on a stick. A lot of people can't do that, right? Learn how to kindle a fire. Watch a video on it, read some stuff, and then learn how to do it, right? It's a compilation of individual things. You have to gather the correct materials. You have fire lay, it's called. You have to pick a place that is, you know, out of the wind or 90 degrees to the wind. You know, there's a lot to know about kindling a fire. And let's say that you're freezing cold and you only got one match. You're not able to kindle a fire. You're going to die, right? It's pretty important for you to know how to do that. How do you sharpen a knife? Learn how to sharpen a knife. You could do that in an afternoon. Watch a video. Learn how to sharpen a knife. So I was being kind of hard on you because I can't be hard who are not in the tribe and say, you all out there that are not in the tribe, get yourselves educated because we need people that know how to do stuff. No, I'm saying you learn how to do stuff, right? You learn how to dress a wound, fire a gun, load a muzzle loader, skin a deer. You learn how to do that. That's what I was saying. And it might have been a little off-putting to some of you because I'm implying that you're worthless. And, you know, and I followed it up with, if you don't like it, tough, do something about it. Jordan Peterson today, he was kind of approaching the same thing about if you're less, sit down, make a list of the things that you know are track. And when he said that, I was like, I wish I didn't hear that. Because then immediately my mind starts going, this, right? And I had to address those things. And it was surprising that when I addressed a certain thing, and I'll tell you this, I'll be perfectly honest with you. There are some days when I see things that happen continuously here that I bring to the attention of people, and I don't deal with it. Like, you know, it can just be a certain thing. And I mean, it could be a very small thing, you know. Like there's one thing that I have. There's this little place down in the butcher shop where you can place a pen, right, in the butcher shop. And we place a Sharpie pen down there. So when you finish milking, the pen is there. And you take the pen off and you write on the jug, Wednesday, right? And then you put the pen back. Very easy, very easy. But if the pen isn't there, then you got to go looking for the pen. And you'll usually find the pen up in the kitchen, in the drawer, or one like it. And I'll come up and I'll take it down. But today, I said something about the pen. And the more I said something about the pen, everybody that I came in contact with that also milks, I said it maybe in such a way that it wasn't very nice, leave the pen back in the shop, right? So that's a problem. That's a problem that I have. It's like an anger, basically, is when something doesn't go according to plan, the very simplest parts of a compilation of processes like milking a cow. It's not just milking the cow. Then you have to put the milk in something. Okay. And then you have to label it. And then you have to put it in the cooler. You got to get, 6 gallons of milk up here. And how do you do that? Well, there's these things that I made. And then after you've taken, what do you do with them? You take them, right? It's one of those things. And when I said, yeah, I have a problem with this. I'm driving and I say to the world, I have a problem with this. Got to get this under control. At this point in my life, it should be under control, but it isn't. And when I said that a couple of times, all of a sudden it was like, I'm not mad anymore. Screw it. I'm not going to lose any relationships with people over a stinking pen. The solution to that is I'm going to start carrying a pen in my pocket. So they won't have a pen when it's their day to milk and deal with it, but I'll have a pen, right? Maybe I'll start stealing the pen. Then the joke will be on them. And I'll steal other stuff too, like the pitcher. Yeah, I'll bring the pitcher up into the house. It'll be fun. So you make a list of the things, you're running a homestead, right? You're running a homestead. And I see several of you on here, and I know you're running homesteads. And you've got things on those homesteads that are not quite right. Identify them. Say, hey, what's the fix on this? Something's not right here. What is the fix on this? And you ask yourself that question 5 times today, 6 times tomorrow, and 7 times the next day until finally, oh, I know what the fix is. I'll just put the pen in my pocket, I'll tie a string around the pen, and then I'll tie it to the button on the front of my shirt. That's the fix. There you go. It'll never happen again then. I will never get mad about that. Just laugh. So that's something that you can do, and instead of getting upset about, I got so much turn. Knock something off today. Knock something off tomorrow. When all of a sudden we get stranded on an island, right? And we're trying to figure out who to eat. And we start interviewing people like, okay, what do you know how to do? What do you know how to do? And your life depends on it, because if you don't know how to do a bunch of stuff, we're going to eat you. You know what I'm saying? We don't actually, I don't want anybody to think we're actually cannibals, not actually, but it's a good metaphor, right? Like I like to talk about the Garden of Eden. I don't know if it's true, but it's a good story, right? Or Noah's Ark. There again, somebody found it, and yeah, it's okay, but it's still, it's a good story. It's a real good story. All right. All right, ghosted with us. That's great. Little blurry, but it's working all right. The blocks arrive for the walk-in tomorrow. Right on. Sean saw that picture of us splitting that beef with the splitter that you gave me. It was really good. It'll go about, depending on what section of the vertebrae it is, it'll go about 4 inches, with not a mighty swing either. You don't, it's kind of just a chook. If you lift that thing up a foot and give it a little bit, just gravity will, if you believe in gravity, it will, it'll take it down. The ghost says, no man, you'll always need others in some way. That is so true. I think we were designed to be alone. Oh, I was too about my anger issue. Today, there's a farm that I don't like people to park vehicles, because when I go into the barn to get a bale of hay and I'm coming out and it's uphill, right? And it's very icy now. We don't have packed snow. And I see a vehicle parked there. If I hit the brakes on the tractor, the tractor can slide, and I can slide into the vehicle that's parked there. And I've actually told kids that I'm training on the tractor, son of a gun parks there, and you hit him accidentally, back or forward, and then run into him again. That's how adamant I am about not parking there, because I have almost hit vehicles there. Today, I hit the pilot. All right. So I was quite angry, and it interrupted my day totally. Anger. So I actually decided, well, today's a good day to leave the farm. I got to go here, and here. And so I was gone, because I really didn't want to say anything to it that would be hurtful. So I took off, and that was $1 worth of damage to the pilot that I'm going to fix. So anyway. All right, Crunchy Mom is saying, I'll teach an ICF construction class. ICF block you're talking about, right? The way they fit together, pretty neat. The blocks are made out of the containers that they ship fish in, I believe. I find beer is good for those times. That's correct. But I had to do the show tonight, so I could not. But my list of things that interrupts my goals. Like I really, over the time that we've done this show and developed the Anyone Can Farm, and me and Jill have done very neat classes on really neat other farms, and then Joe coming back to work with us, and you all, my goals have formed up in my mind, and so I really want to get. It's sparked my passion, and I have to think, what do you really want to do? What is you really want to do? And it's just me, I'm driving, I have a chance to think about things. What do I really want to do? And I searched all the things that I know that can be done, and all kinds of things. Having a Corvette, I think I did. Nah, I don't. Real hot rod Chevelle. I used to have one of those. Kinda. Wouldn't sacrifice anything like I did when I was 18 for a hot rod Chevelle. Then was that Chevelle was it was priority. My school that I was going through, my higher education, that was kind of like, well, I need the Chevelle to get there, and I mean, it needs to be in the parking lot. So when I'm done with school, I can go in it and, do what I want to do in the Chevelle, right? So that was priority, but the Chevelle, not priority now. I'm not saying that if I came into a bunch of scratch, I wouldn't mind getting another one, I really wouldn't. That was a nice, fun car. But I went through all things, Um, build a new house. I like my house. Roof on the barn. Yeah, I'm working on that. That's not like I'm going to sacrifice everything to put a roof on the barn. Really, what I really and truly want is a top-notch educational system. I really like doing that. And it really makes me feel like I'm doing the right thing. I really, I do enjoy the farming process. I do like doing pastured poultry and, work my cows and, all the building, standing back and looking at places and saying, oh, yes, this goes there and this goes. I like that. I love that. But that's when I'm doing it for my farm. But when I go to somebody else's place and they're saying, tell me what you think about this, I like that more. I actually like that more. It's just something. It's just like it's qualified for it, and I've got Air Force where we had a process but I also was in the Air Force long enough to be able to assess the situation and say, it ain't worth it. Keep your mouth shut. It's stupid, but yeah, let's just stay with it, right? Can anybody relate? Right? I know Bryce would probably relate. All right, let's just stay with stupid because to open your mouth is going to cost you. So, but in what I'm doing, there's definitely some stupid going on, but I can make the decision to put an end to stupid and do it a different way, right? I mean, it was just a real basic thing, but I've been having this. I have a couple of sows out here that are not working out, right? They've got problems and they need to be culled. However, I got a lot going on right now. Beef on the table down there. I've got a class coming up in March. I've got several construction projects that have to get done before the March class, right? And I don't really have the time to go out there, shoot them, fire up the scalder, get them scalded, scraped, split, all that. I don't have the time to do any of this right now. And all of a sudden it occurred to me, hey, trailer them and put them in with the feeders. That way they won't get pregnant again and they won't harass any of the others. Thought of that. Anyway, that's what I'm gonna do. We could use them for the charcuterie class too. That just occurred to me because they could get moved, put over there, fattened up, and then used for the charcuterie class. I came across a pretty good deal today. I'm just going to pass this on because this is really important information. There's a guy that I've been doing business with for a long time, and he lives over in, Michigan. He lives in the Thumb, right? So he lives over there. I buy straw from him. That's how I met him. And every time he comes here, we have nice conversations about all kinds of stuff. He's a little bit younger than me, but he's a lifelong farmer, so he knows a lot of guys that you can ask to do this. How do you make money at this? Is this a good thing to do? And if it's farm related, he can, you know, he can tell you. He really can. He's like Joe Higgins. Go to Joe Higgins if you have issues. This guy, he's not a tribe guy. He wouldn't. I don't think he would do that. I don't even think he has a smartphone. You know, maybe he does listen to this. I don't think so. But he was telling me that the companies that were buying beets, sugar beets, from the growers this year told the growers, nope, we're not buying them. The poor guys had planted them, so they borrow money to plant them. They get them in the ground. They have to spray them. You know, these things are genetically modified. They spray them with Roundup, and then they harvest them. And then these guys are saying, nope, we don't want them. We don't want them. You know, the big plants that process and make sugar. And like it's going on all over the place. And not only beets, but potatoes. He told me that today. He said potatoes have no value at all. No value, right? With the beets, these beets are, you know, they're big. They're like a bee's nest. They're heavy. And the extension service, yes, they're the experts. They're telling the farmers, plow them down, just plow them under, and then spread cow manure on top of them, and then you can plant your next crop on top of them. Steve was saying to me, has anybody ever done this? No, but in theory it should work. So now we're going to put seed on top of that, and you're saying it will work? How do you know? Kind of weird, but you should know that this crop of sugar beets, at least in Steve's neighborhood, his last name is Gingrich. Are not being harvested. They're being turned back down. Yeah. So he brought me 25 tons today in a dumping semi. I told him I would take 10 tons at $45 a ton. I said, well, I can take 10 tons. And he says, well, I got to use my neighbor's semi, so you might get more than that. All right. At that price, it doesn't matter. You know, the amount of tonnage there was huge. He brought 25 tons, and I said, whoa, that's a lot more than he says, just give me X amount, which was about 2/3 of what I thought it was going to be for 20 tons. Now I've got this huge pile of beets, huge, great big beets. And you know, you have to look at this equation here and understand this equation. The beets have no value because the plant that makes sugar out of them has closed. Why? Because of COVID-19. I don't know why. All right. I don't know how but you know, they did. And the plant probably got money from the government, and well, why should we process these things? If these guys want us to close down, we'll just tell the farmers, hey, plow them down and squirt some manure on them, should be fine. We got ours. We got it from the federal government. We got our money. Right? See, so that's how the government is screwing things up. And it's USDA, right? And so all the beets, smart farmers are saying, you can't expect that field to recover and process all of that organic material. I mean, these fields are basically sand. You know, there's not enough organic activity in there to break down a beet, especially this time of the year, you know. And then in the spring, that's when you plant top of beets. It just doesn't. It defies logic, but logic is not part of our world anymore, especially the fouled up part of it. Um, Follow this logic. All right, these beets, then it costs them money to harvest them, and then the farmer's like, "What am I supposed to do with these?" And Steve says, "Well, you can dump them over at my house. I can sell them to the, you know." And so Steve kind of went out on a limb, and he's got all of these. His motivation, he told me today, he said, "Well, if they plowed them down all around my house, I was going to have to live with the smell." So I have that, and I figured at least if they dumped them on my property, I could maybe figure out something to do with them, feed cows, whatever. But like feeding cows, that is a bad option. Why? Because if you have a cow that's fat, then you would normally turn that into beef. Processing facilities are jammed up until when, Sean? Next year, October next year. So you get all this feed it to cows, and then you just have fat cows that you can't get processed. So they're jamming it up. I keep telling you, and when they build a choke point, they're gonna use it. And so they have. So why am I able to say, "Hey, Steve, I'll give you, this amount of money for a semi of those things"? And he's like, "You will?" "Yeah, because I can feed them to my pigs." And he's like, "Where are you going to get them processed?" "That building right there." "Well, you got a butcher shop?" "Yeah, I got a butcher shop." "Oh, I see. So you've got an overage of feed and an underage of pigs. You could be feeding more pigs." "That's right." Like in the midst of chaos, prosperity, if you can just figure it out, if you can figure out the squeeze points that they've built and be able to vanquish those squeeze points, right? The choke points. I'm always talking about the choke points. Or we can take those beets and we can make alcohol out of them, and then we can run cars on it. Maybe I'll get me a semi. Maybe I can run my bus on that. Good story. I wasn't quite cooled off today, so I decided to make a little field trip, and I went to the school in McBain. Maine is the town that my kids did go to school in. A couple of them went 2 years of high school, and basically my town. Marion has nothing in it. I usually go to McBain. And I have a McBain number. McBain is a very Dutch. Some people call it uppity. I wouldn't say that. I'd say they're just attention detail orientated, and they're very clannish, and they do things a certain way. A lot of people make fun of them for being Dutch and cheap and all that, but the truth is, if you are from McBain, if you're up in McBain and you apply for a Cadillac, you got it. If you apply for a job in Lansing, you got it. People have a solid work ethic from McBain. So I decided to go to the garage where they keep the buses and just say, "Hey, you guys ever sell one of these buses?" And the guy says, "Oh yeah, I sell them." He says, "I'm going to have a couple of them." I said, "Which one? Which combination is a good combination for a bus?" He says, "What are you going to do with it?" I could tell he was a good guy too, and I'm gonna, the business that I'm in, I have to travel once in a while, and I'd like to make sort of a camper out of it. And he says, "Oh, you don't want these buses?" I said, "How come?" He says, "They're, they're all rotted out underneath." I said, "Really? I thought that they were built better. Good stuff is built." He says, "No, they're not." These are all 10 or 12 years old, and we turn them when they have close to 200,000 miles on them. And so they're 10 or 12 years old, and they're getting close to 200,000 miles. And then, but anyway, he told me, oh no, you do not want this engine prior to 2010. Justin talked, and it's the International. You don't want that one. Or 2010, you don't want it. But the engine that you do want is the Cummins, but they're going to be a little older, if you don't mind that, and you want the Allison transmission. So Cummins engine, Allison transmission. He says, if you get that package, find it. It's got a couple 100,000 on it. You're going to have a good piece of equipment that's serviceable, and any place, parts are still available, and they go forever. They'll go 500,000. So that's that. I picked some really good intel there on buses. Anyway, I thought I'd pass on. Cummins engine. Okay, creating more shortages. Time to make vodka. I don't like vodka. Making ethanol would really be a cool thing. It really would. It would be a great thing to be able to learn how to do. And it would be a good, SHTF thing, even if, but you know what? I probably wouldn't. I would make fuel grade stuff, but even then you're asking for trouble. That's one of the things on my list that trips me up, that I say, nope, not going to do that. Not going to do that. This is funny what Sean's saying here. He says, my van can run on it, but the Texas winery license will only let me sell fruit. Prickly pear is quite nice. So what if you don't have a license? Then you don't have an agreement, and you just produce. But I do believe there is a law about. I do believe there is a law, yeah, about producing alcohol, about selling alcohol. I do believe there is. All right. The distillation would be simple. It's relatively easy to avoid the methanol, but purifying the alcohol is 99%. Require molecular sieves. Oh, wow. Sounds the ghost is a member of the intelligentsia here. Sean says the feds will get you. But what if they don't know? What if they don't know? They're going to be busy enough with all of us terrorists talking out against the stolen. I guess Monday they came out and they say that's got 3 doses. They got AIDS, right? HIV. I don't know. I'm going to worry about it. I had this great conversation with my sister about all the things that are going. Well, who's going? And I said, your and have those, those processes from the point of view of you're not involved, right? You're watching those processes, and you be the judge of what's working, what isn't working, and the stuff that's not working, say, how can I do this better? Ask the question, how can I do this better? And then come up with a solution and implement it, and just sharpen your own stick. Sharpen your own stick. And then, I'm not, you guys may ask me about this. I'll tell you right now, I am not going to get involved in this trucker thing. I think it's a good thing, and I think that's what they can do because they're truckers. Trucker, right? So I'm not going to go buy a truck and then wait in line with the rest of the trucks. For one thing, I don't know how to operate a truck that well, or you know, the ins and outs of trucker life. So I probably wouldn't do it, or I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to get in line there with my pickup truck going to. I'm not. My sister thought that I should, but I'm not going to do that. This is my thing. This is what I do. We are resisting passively because what we talk about and the things that we teach allow us to act. Why do they want us to rely on the system? They want us to system so they can take it away from us if we don't compare shenanigans. So they gut something on us, right? You got to do it our way or license away. We'll take your license away. You can't distill in nothing without a license. Hey, wait a minute. I don't need a license to distill stuff. I just need a still. And what? Oh, they have like federal agents that go on around and they have special equipment that can tell if you got a still. Right? What they've done is dumb down the public. So if you've got 10 guys in a room that enjoy Jack Daniels and you said, have you guys ever thought about distilling your own? You know, it'd be a lot cheaper. And they'd say, yeah, but it's a whole lot easier. Just go buy it. Yeah, but don't you think you'd derive some pleasure from distilling your own? No, I just want to drink it. That's what they've done. That's what they've done to us, right? And this is the breakout. And it's saying, you know what? I'm not going to follow you guys anymore because I see what you've done. It makes me very angry when I see pictures like the latest picture that was making its way around the internet. You know, Stacey Abrams, she's a disgusting slob, right? But seeing her and her ugly mug sitting at the front of a classroom and those poor children sitting there with a soggy diaper on their face all day long, and she doesn't have one. I mean, I would rather see their young, beautiful faces and not her ugly mug, right? But that makes me so angry that there's not enough of us to just say to the school district, you know, right here, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. Instead, we go and we plead with them. Oh, please don't make our kids wear a face diaper. You know, we've just got to pull ourselves away from any of those systems. So we say, you guys can if you want, but I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm gonna build my own school. Any of those kids, those parents down there, any of you feel like really trapped because your kids have to be in that school because you've worked yourself into a corner where mom's got to work and dad's got to work. Well, how are you going to make the payment on that Escalade without mom and dad work? You know, there's a lot of that going on. Unbelievable. Even in a small town like this, when I go to football practice, you know, I am driving the oldest car with a 20-year-old. My van is 2000, so it's almost 20 years old. And I don't plan on replacing it anytime soon. But there are people there that I make a heck of a lot of money than I do. A whole lot, but they're driving nullies. Now, public school, that's what they learned you to do, right? That's a test. You're driving around in that, you know, Escalade. Ooh. All right. So anyway, we just have to create our own tribes, our own groups, and we have to operate independently of them. We're never going to convince them that their way of doing things is kind of dumb, you know, kind of dumb. At the school down here, well, I can't confirm it's in the school here, but there was a story in the paper of the school in Traverse City. And if you don't know, Traverse City, Michigan is on par with Provincetown um, in Massachusetts. It's just a hotbed of, it just is. And they work themselves into leadership, and, they paint the roads rainbow colors and all this stuff, but it's a hotbed of just deviance, right? And, people on the school board, they're that way too. So there are these people, I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're usually children that call themselves furries. Furries, right? So they relate to cats mostly. Yeah, I'm a cat. Yeah, well, I may walk upright and not have claws, but I'm a cat. And they do all kinds of stuff. They alter their faces, they wear cat makeup, they have cat lingo, but they want litter boxes in the bathroom because they like to go to the bathroom in a litter box. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we're supposed to say, well, to each his own. I mean, who am I to say that pooping in a litter box is weird? Who am I to say that? Yeah, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. Oh yeah, you believe it's fine, don't you? Oh yeah, yeah. And in your mind, you're thinking, "Wow, this is crazier than Bruce Jenner," But don't say it. Oh no, you can't say it because somebody might say, "Oh, I think you're a homophobe or a furrophobe or something else like that." Craziness, But if you're pulled back from the system, it's like they can call you whatever they want and you don't care. It doesn't matter because I've got my bases covered. I've got my food supply covered. I've got a naturopath that I work with. I've got, and down the line, right? Hey, I'm not joking about that. I'm not joking about that. You can look it up. Furries, they call them. Something really neat happened up in Canada. You guys may, and I can relate to this because I was full of girls, right? I had 5 sisters, and I was the only one. I was the only normal person. Sisters were not sane, right? And a lot of times, what would happen is the mob, that's how I refer to my sisters, is they would decide that a word that I have said is unacceptable. And it could be fat, like I could have, well, you're fat, or big fat so and so, and it would offend them, and it would offend all of them. And if it didn't offend one of them, they would get worked on until they were offended. And finally, they'd get together and they'd petition the authority figure, my mother, and my mother would come to me and say, don't say fat. Don't call the girls fat. And I learned, like, okay. But then I was given, they gave me like a quiver of arrows that I could fire into their heart anytime I wanted to. So, example, we could be sitting at the table and I could say, wow, Mom, these pork chops are nice. I love this layer of fat on them. And the girls would be, but they couldn't say anything, right? And I'd watch them, and I'd see their heads start to kind of turn a little red, and then I'd say, wow, these radishes, they are nice. And I love these. Do you like the fat ones? I like the fat ones. They're hotter. Can I have yours? And then I'd go on and on and on like that. And they would hear, and then I could step it up to the next level of, at first I'm just shooting arrows into their shins, but then I want to move it up a little bit and I want to get it into the thigh, a little bit thicker meat, right? And so I'd step it up a little bit and I'd say, gee, did anybody notice the cat today? The cat's looking a little skinny. And so you'd bring them right to the edge, like where you're going to say the word that you're not supposed to say anymore. And then you use a different word. And it would bring them to the edge and then pull them back, bring them to the edge and pull them back. Psychological warfare. So I know how to do that. I'm really good at that. Man, real good. It works in so many different ways. Like with my sisters, like a thing, we would all be sitting watching TV, and the phone would ring, and of course the phone is in the kitchen, right? And it's screwed to the wall, and so you got to go out there and you got to actually answer the phone. And so the phone would ring, and I was faster than them, so I could get there and beat them. So everybody would jump up to get the phone, but I would be in the lead, and then they would say, "Well, who's going to get it?" And they'd sit down, and so I'd sit down, and then they'd say, "Jerk," and then they'd jump up to get it, and I'd jump up, and we'd do this, and we'd get right to the phone, and I would go to answer it, but then I'd not answer it, So, and hey, if they were nice to me, I was nice to them. But when they terrorized me, it was the same way. So in Canada yesterday, or a couple days ago, this shows you the control of the government there. I got news for you. The government is screwed. Nancy was 100% correct. When the truckers stood up, the government had lost control. They had lost control. Trudeau signed some sort of executive order or something. I don't know how it works up there, that bringing fuel to the truckers amounts to aiding and abetting insurgents, or what do they call on July 6th? They use that word. People left loves that word. Insurgents? No, not insurgents. That was one of their words too. They made that one famous. What was July 6th? It was what did they call that? Anyway, whatever that word is, they started calling people that if you were bringing fuel or food to the truckers, right? So what did the Canadians do? They doubled down. And they got insurrectionists. Yes, insurrectionists. This was great. So they double down, and they go and they buy gas cans all over the city, and then they're putting like water in them. And they're walking around baiting the cops, and the cops will come and say, "Hey, I'm going to have to confiscate that." "You can't confiscate this. I need this." "Well, what do you mean you need it? You're going to give it to the truckers. You can't do that. They told us we have to take it." No, this is water in here. Watching them take a swig of it. And so they're busting the cops. And then the cops are like, "This is too much, And even bringing food to the truckers, they were saying, "No, you can't do that. You're feeding insurrectionists. Makes you an insurrectionist. We're going to have to put you all in jail, all 50,000 of you." And so you see all these Canadians walking around with gas cans now with nothing in them, just to hey, don't call me fat. "Oh, okay, well, sure is a good, nice fat pork chop here." And so they're really goofing on the government, but it shows you how little control the government has. Like in case in point, if my sisters would say, "You know what? I really wish you wouldn't call me fat. I'll, and I don't know what they could do. I wouldn't want them to give me anything or give me money but when you go to my mother and say, "Tell him he can't say this anymore." No. That's like telling the Canadians, you can't give fuel to the truckers, or you can't even be caught walking around with fuel. So they were like, "Oh, really? How about a gas can with water in it? How about a gas can that's empty? It's just my gas can. I keep my personal effects in here." in case I have to urinate. I don't want to urinate on the street, and I collect my urine. So this is not gas in here. It's urine. It's not just mine. I collect it from other people too. It's a service I provide to my fellow Ottawans. I don't want people urinating on the street. I just walk over. Anybody got to go? I got it, right? And another thing that they're doing that I think is really kind of funny, they've signed some other thing saying that you can't honk your horn, right? You can't honk your horn in Ottawa, right? And so then it was like, well, you mean to tell me if I'm about to run into somebody and they could easily move out of the way, I'm on ice, I can't honk my horn then? Oh, well, yeah, then you can honk your horn, but you just can't do it a prolonged honking. Oh, well, just to be, you know how Canadians are. If you don't, I can just hear him. Well, just to be on the safe side, officer friendly, what would the threshold be before I get into the prolonged honking area? Can you clarify that? Well, anything over 15 seconds, and that's prolonged honking. And okay, well, is that 15 seconds? Like uh, per minute, or per 5 minutes, or per hour, or per day? And so they narrowed it down. And they finally got them, and it's like, well, per minute. If you sit there and you beep it for a minute straight, that's unacceptable. But 15 seconds, well, as long as you're under 15, so 14 seconds, and we're okay. Yeah, okay. And so then the Canadians get together and say, okay, you're going to start at 12, and you go to 14. You're going to pick it up at 16, so we'll have a bit of a gap there, but you pick it up at 16, and then you pick it up at so they worked it out. And then it's just what they're doing is they're mocking these people, and it is the best way, right? If the truckers do something violent, well, then the government can legitimately detail their minions to take action against that individual. But if they're mocking them, they got Canadians have a good sense of humor too. They really do. Which I don't know. Well, I can think of one Canadian I don't like, but most of them I like pretty good. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, wow. I'm way over. Litter boxes. Yep. I thought furries was a sexual thing. I never heard that, but maybe it is. Who knows? You remember they used to just remember emos? That was so funny. I mean, the kids in school, they got to be something to draw attention to themselves, right? They got to be something. Instead of some adult sitting them down and saying, what are you doing here? I mean, you're really a good thing. Don't disparage yourself by dressing like a boy if you're a girl, or dressing like a girl if don't do that. But nowadays it's like, oh, well, if you identify as a boy and you're really a girl, then I suppose who am I to say that that's queer? Oh, sorry, bad choice of words. I don't know. They need more. I should have been a teacher, but I wouldn't last long there. But maybe a lot of the furries are getting chased out, and just normal people are going to have to take over as teachers at the school. Maybe. Okay, Crunchy Mom is saying, are they house style boxes or just an open pan? That's going to take up a lot of bathroom space. I don't know. Grand Rapids School, this is from Inga, allowing students to be walked on leashes around their necks. It's just bat poop crazy. I'm going to avert using that vulgar language, Inga. The ghost says, your sisters created the dangerous man. You damn right they did. You damn right they did. And payback is coming, girls. It's coming. Some parents are defending it. Freedom of expression, they say. Okay. See, it used to be there was a check and balance in that because you had a cadre of people that would say, but nowadays, oh, you can't laugh at them. You could give them a complex. They could get PTSD, you know? Yeah, they could. That wouldn't fly at the schools here, not yet at least. I ran into a girl. Here's a good story. A friend of mine, I was over at her mother's house, and this is just like a year or so ago. And we were visiting, sitting on the porch, and my kids were there, and they had a puppy or something they were playing with. And there was this girl there, and she was weird. All right, she was weird, and so I'm kind of compassionate, and so I said, "Well, how's it going?" And she was probably like in her late 20s or something. Good, yeah, right on, and go to talking and everything, and then she said something about her service dog. She said, "Well, I usually have my service dog with me," and I got service dog. I've been hearing about that because, like in the last 10 years, GIs who have, combat related problems, they're finding that dogs can be helpful to them. And I don't know. So I was concerned with that. And I said, service dog, are you a veteran? And she said, oh, no. She poo-pooed on that. And then I got to find out that she was really quite delusional about how this world really works, And of course, that indicates that I know how it works, but she definitely didn't know how it works. She was idealistic on foolishness. But I said, so what's your thing? I mean, what's the service dog do? And she says, oh, I have PTSD. And oh, PTSD, huh? They didn't even have that out when I retired from the military. They didn't have that. Nobody asked me if I had PTSD. Of course, that's 18 years ago. And so I said, PTSD, huh? Ooh. What from? And I didn't know I was asking something I shouldn't. And then she told me what it was, and I won't say it here, but it was just one little thing. And now she's damaged for life and got to have a service dog, and she's on disability. It was just one little stupid thing, but she's got PTSD and craziness. Insurrectionist. The more borders being shut down now because of the government's tactics, this will just backfire on them, the government, I believe. Hey, Ghost, over here, there's a bridge going in from Detroit into Toronto, and this is so neat, right? It's 4 lanes. You have Canadians coming this way, and they've blocked one lane, right? They leave one lane open for emergency vehicles, right? That's good. Canadians are very, considerate and hive-minded as far as that goes, very good. I think that's admirable. The Americans going the other way, nah, it's 2 lanes. They got 3 semis in it. And the cops telling them, hey, you're going to have to move that. And they're saying, yeah, right. You want these keys to stay in the ignition? Then shut up, or this is going in the drink. And it's just trucks all the way across the bridge. And it's a long bridge. I think it's 5 miles. And it's got to be a little hairy because there's more weight on that bridge than there should be. Maybe. It probably is engineered to handle it, but yeah, they've got borders jammed up all over the place. They've got And now I'm hearing today about a convoy starting in California and going all the way to um, Washington, D.C. And we've already done stuff like that, like the Trump convoys that were extremely long with all kinds of stuff. And Americans now, they're like, hey, can I bring my motor home? So it's going to be a big fat party, and it's going to really irritate the you know what out of certain folks. All right. Crunchy. I asked about this today, about shortages, and this thing that's going on, it's quite controversial who set it up. But I heard a panel that was discussing the logistics of it. It's quite well planned, and if it was planned by the bad guys to just choke Canadians so that they would hate truckers, then that would be the thing. And Trudeau would be getting a bunch of angry citizens that would focus their anger on the truckers. The citizens are not angry with the truckers because only about 10% of them are not running, and 90% are running pretty much unfettered because there was too many of them on the roads, basically. So they're the guys that are not in the convoy have agreed to like work more, and so part of the program here is that the stores are loaded. So this supply chain is the people who produce the stuff, it's the people who get it to where it's got to go, and then it is the stores. You could have a store, a Sam, that could say, "Hey, throw this stuff in the dumpster. We got to make it look like we're running out of stuff because we got to rattle these." That's not happening. That's not happening. All right. So when Trudeau makes this, we've got a small group of people who are trying to destroy democracy and they're racists, homophobes. He looks stupid because people are going to the state here. It does look like this program uh, don't look like good people, but now the truckers themselves are acting autonomously, and they're all acting with integrity. And Trudeau's government, of course, they're going to send guys down there with their face masks on, waving like Canadians and swastikas. Really? I mean, you can kind of. There was one picture of a Canadian, supposedly a Canadian, that got out there, had his little face mask on, and he's waving a Union Jack. Like that means anything to Canadians. It doesn't mean anything to them, other than if they're into American history. And it really doesn't mean in the States what people are saying that it means. They're saying, oh, it represents the Confederacy, and the Confederacy wanted to keep the black man in slavery. Come on. All right. And Ghost is saying not that he's heard of. I'm in Vancouver Island, though. Can't wait to get up there with my bus. Okay, I've been building a little extra of non-perishables, though. If this goes south, for some reason, there will be shortages along with a lot of trouble, too. Well, I think that regardless, you should be building a cushion of calories, right? Regardless. I mean, you build a cushion of dollars in the bank. Wait a minute, I'm trying to do this. You're saying they're Leonard Skinner fans? Who, the truckers are Leonard Skinner fans? I'm a Leonard Skinner fan. I'm not sure what you're meaning by that. The truckers are Leonard Skinner fans? They probably are. I mean, you really can't be American. You can't call yourself American if you don't like Leonard Skinner. Let's just get that. My sister was saying to me today, and I'll pass this on, and then I'll get going. This is supposed to be Q&A night, but she was saying, "Where do you think this is going to go?" And I said, "Well, I think the dudes with the Confederate flags." Oh, okay, maybe. Um, I said, "Well, I think about this a lot, and I think about it as pertains to organizations and processes that have failed us. So, was the pharmaceutical industry always profit driven and evil the way it is now? Was it always that way? I don't remember it like when I was in 1990. I don't remember seeing pharmaceutical commercials on TV. That just started 20 years ago. Maybe, I don't know. We've not had a TV in longer than that, just regular TV. So I'm not exactly sure. But now if you stay at a hotel, the TV's on, you see it's like every commercial is people who are smiling and, running on the beach and, take this pill and you'll be happy and horny again and stuff. But it could cause you to have a heart attack or be antisocial or go blind or be fertility issues or this or that or that. I mean, like, why would you take it? But people do. I've not taken any of them. So, but so she was saying, where's this going to land? And I think that all things that have failed us, all the institutions that have failed us are going to go away. Somehow, some way, it will not be profitable to be a pharmaceutical salesman anymore. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work. Why is it that industrial agriculture, people are trying to get out of it right now? Why is that? If it was such a good thing, you'd think you'd have people trying to get into it. You don't. You have it. The powers that be are consolidating it, right? So some poor farmer that bought into, hey, you need to get big or get out. Okay, how do I get big? Here, take this money. Now go buy this, this, and this. Buy all this land. Now you're big. Oh, okay. What am I going to do next year? We'll give you more money next year. That's how they got him into it, right? And yeah, but we're not profitable at this big. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Keep going. Keep going. And now those poor suckers can't not get even huge. They can't because, well, we need our operating loan this year. Our loan officer, I'm going to need, $200,000. You take 500 or you're not getting a penny. What am I going to do with that? Buy out this farm next door. Okay, but he's my neighbor. Doesn't matter. You got to do it. So can it go on forever? No, it's for our eyes, right? Will Big Pharma fail? I believe so. And then what happens after that? What happens after that? I mean, you play it out, play the chess game out in your mind. Gee, human beings still got to eat. We still get land. But what are we going to do? Because there's no fertilizer anymore. I don't know. Compost. Hey, now there's a dandy idea. Compost. There's a good idea. I wonder why we didn't think about that. They didn't want you to think about that. They wanted you to buy their fertilizer. So they're telling you compost is no good. Right? So when you see the problem that we're in right from centralization, so what a decentralized township look like? What does that look like? You can figure it. That's where we're going. And my sister said, well, that sounds 60s. I said, yeah. Remember the 1960s? Remember the music that was in the 1960s? You can still remember it. Somebody tell me a song that came out in 2020. Does I mean, what's the going to get what other and so you go back to I bet he'd like to go anywhere now. I think I'm going to shut it down tomorrow night.